Welcome to lesson 6. So far we've learned how to hold the lyre, how to tune the lyre, and some basic good habits for using the thumb. We're going to get into the good stuff now. We're going to use the thumb, the index finger, and the middle finger. And the first thing I want to say is we're going to continue on how to play the lyre, not what to play on the lyre. If we jump right into the songs at this point, I'm afraid bad habits will follow you forever. But if we learn the good habits from the beginning, the good habits will follow you forever through all of your music, through all of the years. So, with that said, let's take a look at technique, what you might call posture of the arm. When we hold the lyre and we bring the right hand to the lyre, we want the thumb and the two fingers, the index and the middle, approaching all strings at the same time. Most often, and more often than not, when we put the lyre on our leg and we bring our hand up, we get this. The thumb will come first, and that's not good. We want the thumb and the fingers to touch the strings all at once. The thumb being a little longer, this presents a problem, but it's not really a problem. It's a part of good technique. And there's just two things we can do to remedy that and make good tone and reduce fatigue in the hand. And there can be a lot of fatigue if your hand posture isn't just right. So what we do, we want to get those fingers on the strings also. You see, by reaching in with the fingers is not a good idea. It straightens the fingers out. And that really limits the ability to play the notes clean and quickly. So what we do, we can either tilt the lyre, and you may have seen when some people play, the lyre is sort of facing them. This isn't so they can see the strings, it's so it puts the thumb and the fingers in the proper position. So you can do that. You can turn the lyre a bit, or what I find myself doing when I bring my hand up, I slightly roll my forearm. But we don't want to do this. We don't want to bend the wrist this way. That would surely give you pain. So you can either turn the lyre in a bit to get the good contact, the equal contact, or, like I do, simply roll the forearm forward and the wrist just a bit. But like I said, and I want to emphasize, not this type of bent wrist. We want to keep a straight line all the way through here. So, with that said, there's one more bit of advice here to make your playing clean and accurate. We're gonna go into some thumb and finger movements here, but I want to show you, for clean and accurate playing, I often plant my pinky finger down. The reason for that is, for instance, when we hold an ink pen, we hold it like this. We wouldn't try to write like this. Although we could write like this, the writing wouldn't be so good. So we find a way to make it very stable, and we do the same thing when we play the lyre. And for stability, I find that the pinky here on the soundboard is a good habit I have. Another thing is I often plant fingers on a string even though I'm not playing them. And sometimes in addition to the planted pinky. As you can see, I'm really trying to stabilize my hand because being a delicate instrument and a precision instrument, there's no room for error. And these two things, this and this, ensure that I get a good aim on my strings. So let's try this. If you remember in lesson 5, we were doing thumb. Now we're going to go forward a little bit, and we're going to go starting on string 5, start from the thinnest string and count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go thumb, 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 middle finger on the last string. So try that. See my pinkies down? Thumb, 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 middle. Thumb, 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 middle. Thumb, 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 middle. Here's another point I'd like to mention about stability and accuracy. Often when I'm up on the last string, right here, these fingers seem to touch, and this one sometimes grazes against them, and that all makes my hand feel accurate, strong. In other words, it's okay when you're playing if the fingers touch like this. Now let's try this. Let's try thumb, 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 pointer finger, middle finger, thumb, 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 pointer, middle, thumb, 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 pointer, middle. Thumb, 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 pointer, middle. Now let's try it in reverse. Middle, pointer, but pointer, pointer, thumb. That's different than going up when we went thumb, thumb, thumb. When we come down, we go middle, pointer, 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 thumb. Because moving in the reverse direction, it's far easier to have the pointer finger do the job on these middle strings. Watch closely. Thumb, 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 pointer, middle. Middle, pointer, 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 thumb. When you practice, that's a very important move. This is the thing you should practice over and over. 50 times in a row. 1,000 times in a row. Try going up and going down. Thumb, 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 pointer, middle, middle, pointer, 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 thumb. The object is not to play fast as a beginner, but to play evenly. when I'm hitting the thumb note, I'm actually touching my finger on my thumb. It feels good. It helps me find the string more accurately. It may even add stability to my fingered notes. So that's okay when you're touching like this. Try to make it sound like this. Again, as we talked about before, you may not be in tune with my lyre because now you know there are different tunings for lyres. But you can stop the video and practice this. And let me repeat, this is so important. Not so fast, but evenly. There, I think we wore that out. Now we're going to talk about the 4 degrees of what you could call attack or accent or pressure we play with. This is my system. This is my terminology. I believe this is a good way of looking at it. What we just played was what I call a pluck. Thumb pluck, finger pluck, where we're simply on the side of the string and we give it a little pull. Now there's another degree of volume. When you want a loud note, well, the first thing we'd think of was we just hit the string harder, but that's wrong. What we do on a lyre is because we have good hand posture, this is where the good hand posture comes in. With all fingers and thumb on the strings, we can almost feel as if we're under the string, almost. And we pluck upward when we want. In other words, when we want a louder note, we don't pluck harder across the strings, we pull the string. We want the string to vibrate in this direction. When the strings vibrate at this louder volume, when they're plucked wrong, when they're plucked in this direction hard, the strings vibrate this way. They can only sound so good and so loud on the configuration of a lyre. Part of this has to do with the way the string goes onto the peg. The string wants to vibrate this way to sound good and loud, not this way. So in other words, with our good hand posture, we can pluck a string, we can sort of get underneath it and pull it upward for what I call a snap. We can do this with the fingers too, of course. See, I pulled up. I didn't pull across. Up. Listen to the difference in pluck. I will play you 3 plucked strings first. Now I will play 2 plucks and a snap. Regular plucks. 2 plucks and a thumb snap. So when we want more volume, we don't hit the string harder in the pluck fashion, but we get under it. It's very subtle. We don't dig deep under it. We don't do that. But we feel our thumb pulling it outward, and we feel our finger pulling it outward, not across. There are 2 more degrees of volume in addition to the pluck and the snap, and it's a quieter sound. I call it a brush. And I call it a brush Because unlike the pluck and the snap, the brush is sort of like when a bird comes in to grab a fish over the water. It comes in and it comes out. It's quick and it's light. Let me play the tune I played at the beginning. See if you can hear the snaps, the plucks, and the brushes. Now that's what gives you good expression, good dynamics, whatever a music teacher would call those, but we keep it in layman's terms. We have the loud snap, we have the regular pluck, and we have the brush. Loud snap, a medium sounding pluck, and a very light brush. And these should all be done with the good hand posture so the thumb and the fingers touch the strings evenly. There's one more element or sound in addition to the snap, the pluck, the brush, and it's even quieter. And it's what I call the breath. And it's what makes the lyres so fun. A lot of instruments can't make what I call the breath. They just can't get that quiet. The breath is the quietest of all the notes. Practice playing as quiet as you can with the lightest touch you can do. No harder than a snowflake hitting the ground. And where does this come in handy? For instance, on a song, maybe a nice lullaby type song at the end, maybe. Like that. And we often use these brushes and breaths in our music when we're playing any song. Because if we play 3 notes in succession here, you can almost hear a dissonance or a sour sound. In other words, the ringing sound isn't a pretty sound. The reason is that sour sound comes from me hitting the 3 strings all with a pluck, when I should be putting a breath on the 2nd string. Now it rings with a nice sound. Not so nice. But if I use a lighter touch on that middle string, we get a nice sound. We keep that middle string ringing, sustaining sound from bleeding into the other strings when they sustain. This is the challenge of the lyre. It's something you'll do intuitively. Really, like we don't talk about brushing our teeth, how we put the toothbrush in our mouth without hitting our gums. We just do it, and we do it intuitively. And it's the same with the lyre. But I mentioned these 4 ways of playing notes: the snap, the pluck, the brush, and the breath, because I want you to always be aware of these different degrees of pressure or strength or muscle that you're going to be using. So let's just review it real quick again, what we did today. We want to anchor, and anchoring can be with the pinky, and it can be by actually touching strings even before you play them. That all helps to anchor. Just as when we hold the lyre, we're anchoring the lyre. When we do this, we're anchoring our hand. The lyre can get away on you real quick, and the slightest of distance can, well, you can make a wrong note. So let's have good anchoring habits. Let's remember to practice this. And let's remember the 4, and never forget the 4 ways we hit a string. We snap, we pluck, we use a brush, and we use a breath. Those 4 degrees of volume. So, check out my website sometime. Subscribe to this channel to be notified or to see all of the upcoming videos, and there's going to be a lot of them. And I want you to keep practicing, keep enjoying your lyre, keep it simple, have fun, and all I can say is we'll see you next time.